Oshri Cohen. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's a pleasure. Oshri, let's start by telling the audience a little bit about what do you do today? What's your role? How do you make a living?
I am a fractional CTO, and I make a living by making a lot of noise on LinkedIn. A lot of noise that people sometimes they don't want to hear, but I've managed to convince a lot of people that it makes sense, right? My job is to fill the gap with startups and medium-sized companies that don't need a full-time CTO, because 99% of the time they don't need a full-time CTO unless the CTO is a PhD and in a particular space, and then that CTO is just is a scientist. That's their role, right? The CTO role itself is a business role, and so a lot of startups don't need it. A lot of small businesses can't have a CTO because they just don't have enough work, but they need that technical skill. So they're stuck kind of in the middle. They can't get the high skill, the like really, really skilled people, because the really skilled people don't want to work for, like a small marketing firm. So they need a person like me, because I'm going to come in 2 hours a day, make a mess of things, fix everything, and that's it.
Very nice. Let's talk a little bit about specialization in the software development world, right? Why are developers pushed to specialize in any given language or framework, and why do you think that's wrong?
It's market pressure. So first of all, it's market pressure, right? And very, very bad technical leadership. And bad leadership is an anti-pattern almost. Bad leadership means no leadership at all. It's just management. That's what it is, right? I'm going to start with the bad leadership aspect. There's a lot of technical leaders in the world, right, who think I need an employee who can know this specific framework, right? It's like hiring a contractor who knows this specific brand of this screwdriver.
Right.
That's like, I need a contractor that knows how to use a Phillips screwdriver that's from Black & Decker. If you use another one, I'm sorry, it doesn't work. It's got to be that brand. It's got to be that screwdriver, right? But the other contractor knows a flat edge screwdriver. I don't know what the technical name for that one. I don't know Phillips, right? The flat edge screwdriver. Well, I'm sorry, you don't know how to use the screwdriver that we need. This is the plague of our industry. It's an actual plague in thinking that people cannot learn, cannot adjust, cannot work cross frameworks and cross languages. Something that I don't believe in at all. And even when I do technical recruiting for my clients, I say, okay, but can you train them for 2 weeks? If you can train them for 2 weeks, I'll bring you 100 great developers in a language that's similar to the language you want, because they want to learn it, and you want it because you want the brain. That's the plague. Now, this specialization in the tooling goes down to the level of a screwdriver, like I said. Framework, React.js versus Vue.js versus Angular.js versus all these things. Who cares? Who cares? You know technically how to screw the damn thing into the board. That's it. Why does it have to be that specific? So when I do technical recruiting for some of my clients, and I only choose clients I really like, I get to make that decision because I'm not a full-time recruiter. So I'm like, you I don't like. You I like. Let's go. And so in my job description, I make sure to say exposure to this technology or that technology. And there's no years of experience either. But that's a different conversation. On the last part, the over specialization, how can I say, causes developers to specialize, right? And it narrows their focus. So they're not engineers anymore, they're developers. And they're not developers across the board, they're developers for one specific item. And that's all they do. And the problem with that is that as soon as that technology falls out of favor, anxiety goes up, people lose their jobs, right? Either sometimes they lose their jobs or they can't get the job because no one's hiring for that role anymore and they don't know how to present themselves. So that's part one of the plague. Part two of the plague is the 99.9% of garbage recruiters out there. And I literally mean that by every sense of the word, garbage. They don't know what they're talking about. It's like asking someone who is not a doctor to recruit a doctor for you. No,
Right.
you need someone who knows the medical field. And it's not enough to just know a couple of keywords. That's why you're seeing resumes with, I know how to use Git. What, are you kidding me? No, of course you know how to use Git. Can you walk and not drown in your soup? Of course. Of course you know how to use Git, right? When you hire for your developers, you know how to use Git. I mean, if you don't know, okay, you'll learn in about what, 2 minutes? It's 3 commands, huh?
Yeah.
Git pull, git commit, git push. Leave it be. Okay, git branch, fine. All right. But they can use the UI for that even, you know? So that's the other part is the recruiters. And the job descriptions and the way they write them is so tone deaf, right? You need to have 6 years of agile. What are you stupid? What is this? What kind of description is this, right? And then you see that in the job in the resumes as well, because how can I say? And now I'm gonna veer into the third plague, right? And the third reason of this plague, which is the AI systems and the automation around technical recruiting, right? So when I do technical recruiting, I get 100 resumes a day. Guess what? I read every single one of them. I do not depend on my ATS to do so. I will walk through and read every single one of them. It's a pain, but you know what? I'm also getting paid a lot of money for the recruiting, so I might as well treat the candidate with respect.
Yeah.
Right? And I've hired many candidates who had a garbage resume because they just didn't know how to write their resume. And that's it. Right? And so if you don't put all of the SEO keywords, you're not going to get selected for a call because those recruiters, most of them aren't reading your resume. They're looking at the ATS, which one has the highest score, click, click, click. Let me read the other one, denied in 20 minutes because they've got 60 other roles to hire for. They don't have time to really focus on it. That's our problem. So it's multifaceted.
No, so three items, technology leadership, CTOs, etc., that are asking for dumb things, recruiters that don't know what they are doing, and the AI that is looking for certain keywords that is leaving a lot of talent, on the table, right?
Exactly.
And if you're a developer and you start growing old as a specialist, you are running the risk, as you said, of, okay, that technology goes out of fashion, and what do you do next? Because you stop being an engineer and you became more of a focused, specialized developer, which basically what you're saying, that's a risk for your career, correct?
It is a risk for your career if you are, and I had that anxiety for decades, right, in my career. I'm like, I need to now pick up another language. I need to do this. And so I would work at one company, and I was a .NET expert at the time, right? So I'll give you an example. I learned all of these modern technologies and frameworks and everything about 7 years ago. That's it. Before that, I was .NET expert. I didn't even use Git. Never used Git in my life. I used TFS. I was a Microsoft developer. Team Foundation Server or something like that? TFS, right? I don't remember. I don't think it's still alive. I don't think people use it anymore. Maybe they do. And so I kept on working at companies that were .NET because that was the skill set I had. And I'm like, it didn't make any sense. I'm like, I'm a great developer. I know how to architect systems like it's nobody's business. Then I fell upon this one startup. The CEO calls me. I love him to death. They're just the best people, even though I only worked for them 6 months. I had to learn Python, Golang, Linux, CI/CD, Kubernetes, all of this. Guess how long it took me to learn all of this? A month. Within the first week, I was deploying Golang services. I've never touched Golang in my life. I've never touched command line in my life. I never wrote a unit test in my life, ever. I was a horrible developer back then, but I evolved in a certain way, right? And then I got that chance. And then that actually showed me, I'm like, oh, hold on a minute. The industry does not make any sense anymore, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of like showing myself bare here a little bit. I'm showing my vulnerability because it's true. Because a lot of people have these same issues, and a lot of employers are looking for specifics, right? When just look for brains, really smart people. The rest, the rest is detail. They can learn, they can figure it out. So yeah, so I learned Golang in 2 weeks. I learned Python in 2 weeks, right? I learned how to deploy Kubernetes services in just as quickly. It took what? An hour to figure out, oh, I get it now. Command, CI/CD, testing, integration testing. Oh, I see it all. Okay, great. It makes sense to me now because it's not rocket science.
So super fast learning. How do you do that? And for the audience listening, what would be your advice for someone that wants to learn as fast as you do?
Forget the textbook. First of all, forget the textbooks. Forget like small project. It doesn't work. Take a product that you are building right now at your employer. Take the whole thing, convert it to another language. That's it. That's all you need to do. You have it in Python? Great. Convert it to Golang. Same services, same code, same test, same database, right? Just convert it. It's that simple because then you see the differential between the two. Run it, play with it, try it out. Do it on your own time, obviously, right? But you might be surprised because you might solve a problem for the company and then come back and say, hey, let's do this in Golang, or let's do this and this because this is a CPU bound workload. Let's do that. Or I'm seeing an issue with Kubernetes in this setup. Let's fix this because I tried it out, right? Because I learned something new. So just keep hacking away, but specific to your job. And you know what? Do it during work time as well, because you're doing research for your client, for your employer anyways. You're trying to figure something out. Most decent engineering cultures give you a bit of slack time to research things yourself, to fix things yourself. This concept of the 100% developer all the time, it doesn't work. We're creatives. We paint, right? We're creators and engineers. So we need time to internalize, to focus, to rest, to re-energize our creativity, to solve these problems. And so that's it. That's how you learn fast. That's how you learn fast. Just
Go
rewrite.
into it. Okay. And
Just jump into it. That's it.
once you learned a certain number of languages and frameworks, do you start seeing patterns? Are languages and frameworks more similar to each other than people really want to acknowledge or realize?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So frameworks, let's start with frameworks first, and then we'll go down to the languages. So frameworks are just, it's a toolbox. That's it, right? And some toolboxes are bigger than others and smaller than others. So let's take the .NET framework. It's a sizable framework to learn. It's a beautiful framework. And I'm actually going back to .NET 8 now because the performance is almost as good as Golang and it's easier to code. So why the heck not? Although Golang stole my heart and I love it. And if I could, I would just code in Golang my whole life because I think it's until it gets replaced by the next one. But I think it's just, oh, it's such a beautiful language and it's so infuriating, but we'll talk about that later on, right? So frameworks are like that. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, when are you going to hit the limit of the framework, right? And I classify frameworks on a spectrum of what's easy is easy, what's hard is impossible. When are you going to get there? Because a lot of frameworks like Angular, really, really easy at the beginning, but once you get really complex, it could be very hard. I'm not sure. I've never pushed Angular to the limit. But I know React.js is hard to get started. So what's easy is hard because there's a lot of build-up.
Right.
But what's hard is easy. But once you have a good framework going and you have the good setup going, you can move really, really, really quickly. Same thing with .NET. Same thing with Golang. Golang, easy to start, easy to. So with Golang, what's easy is easy. What's hard is easy. It's actually, they created a near perfect language, right? Near perfect, right? Same thing with .NET now with .NET 8, with .NET 7 and .NET 8, similar to Golang now. Boom, API got started, done. But still Golang is better in many ways, many ways, right? Except for enterprise, you don't touch it for enterprise. And so every generation of framework built on top of the previous one. So React.js built on top of Angular fixed those mistakes, right? With React.js, there's no bidirectional data pipeline. There's unidirectional, and then you update a model, which I think was cleanest approach, right? Was adhering more to the fundamentals of software engineering, of immutability. Then you have Vue.js, which solved a lot of the React.js problems. I don't know what it solved because I've never touched it before, but I know it's the next evolution. Then you have Nest, Next, Nuxt.js, all of these frameworks, right? Same thing. But at the end of the day, all languages and all frameworks solve a small problem. So can you build APIs in Node.js, .NET, and Golang? Yeah. In about what, 5 lines of code? Yeah, it's about right. About 5 lines of code. You can spin up a server, you can do it all. But where are you going to hit the limit with it? Like I said, with Golang, you don't do enterprise with it because enterprise belongs to Microsoft space. That's their domain, right? You need to connect with Microsoft services. It's .NET, yeah, a little bit less now. But that's the reality. Now, the last thing I'm going to say about it is you don't pick a particular language and just focus on it like it's the law, right? Every language has its purpose. Python is rapid development, great for web application, quick web application development around the Django framework. Outside of the Django framework, it's a bit murky. I don't actually like it very much outside of that framework, right? But great for ETL jobs because, hey, I can just quickly write some code. That's what I need, right? Golang, fantastic for APIs and services that are, how can I say, that require CPU bound work. That's when you use it. .NET, nice all around, actually. It's just a nice all around. It can do everything from web to CPU bound to and so on and so forth, right? So that's generalist language. Java, oh, it's a European problem. I don't know anything on Java, whatever. But it's a good. It's a good tech. It's a good. It's very close to .NET. Just work.
As the fractional CTO you are, do you think sometimes, or most of the times, your job is really to understand what's best for the client, regardless of how sexy or not a language is? Do you see sometimes that developers want to use the latest, sexiest language, and maybe it doesn't really help for the situation they're working on?
Yes, because they're focusing on the tool and not the solution, right? So I have one client, he's got 4 different projects written in 4 different languages because the primary developer just kept on changing his mind on the next project. We've got some Python, we got some .NET, we got Elixir. All right, fair enough. I think it's big in Latin America, actually, Elixir. I think because the one of the authors is Colombian, possibly. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Possibly. It's a cool language. I'm looking at it. I'm like, what is this? What am I reading here? It's like I have to now relearn a whole other language. Developers focus on the tool. Technical leadership focuses on the solution and the long-term business impact of using the said tool. At the end of the day, whatever you use is fine. Just pick one. Because all the languages are basically fine. That's the thing. But I want to reduce the complexity scope. Complexity scope. I don't even know if that's a term, but I want to reduce the complexity of and breadth of technologies that you need to learn. So if you're building simple web applications and you're an ETL heavy business, we're going to do everything in Python and leave it be, and we're done. That's it. Finished. If you already did everything in Node.js and now we're introducing ETLs, okay, we're going to introduce Python for that because ETL in Node.js, what is that even? Right? There's no ETL server for Node.js. There isn't one, right? And no one bothered to do that. So I have to think about the ramification 5 years and 10 years down the line, which the developer, not all, but most, very much think, like this, like very much think in I need to solve this one problem right now. Ooh, this is cool. This is sexy. I want to do that.
You're really thinking 5 years, 10 years down the line. I was going to ask, what's your
I
long-term
have
vision
to.
when you're that's
Yeah.
what you're thinking.
I have to. Yes, I have to. And as an FCTO, I have to think about what if the entire team quits? What if we have to lay them all off in 2 years? Right? And then bring in contractors. What if? My responsibility is to ensure the survival of the business. That's my responsibility. I have to ensure the survival of the business and the growth of the business, right? And so unless you come from a very strong engineering culture, or you have one, because you had an FCQ at the beginning of your business, like we're talking the non-startups, even the startups are murky at best of how they do things, right? You won't have that way of thinking, that type of strategy in place. You just won't.
Can any developer learn this fast and apply it the right way? Is there a type of mindset that is needed to be so fast as learning?
To learn fast, or to learn how to be a tech leader?
To learn fast. So going back to the conversation of why you should stay a generalist and not become a specialist, right? And to do that, you were a .NET developer, and at one point in time you learned, a dozen languages and frameworks, and you did all of that in 1 to 2 months, right? So
Yeah.
can anyone do that? Can all developers, is there a trait that some developers have that enable them to learn so fast and others don't have, or is this something that
Oh
any
my
developer
gosh.
can do?
I mean, everyone's capable of learning, right? Everyone's capable of learning. When I hire people, I look for what I call is the spark. Like I wanna feel their brain light up. Ding! It's like there's something working really quickly. But that's a specific type. It's not whether you have the spark or not. I think it's very much based on circumstances in life,
Okay.
whether you're capable or not, right? You're a single parent and you're a developer, and you're going to be stuck doing what you're doing, right? Because then you have kids at home and you have to take care of them and you have to give them a good life and so on. So you can't be coding at night. This is why I never ask for a GitHub repo. What do you mean GitHub? What's your personal project? I don't have time for a personal project. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Right? Like I, by asking that, I will be alienating every single parent right from the get-go. We're done. Unless they have, endless pot of coffee and they're staying up till midnight every night, studying after kids and after this and after that, which you can do for about a week, maybe 2 weeks. After that, it's done. I do that for the next month. I'm comatose. I wake up at 8. I can't. Like my body gives in, right? There's a limit. But I think it's circumstances in life. You have to have the time to invest in it. And if you don't, you have to be really lucky and land in an engineering culture that allows you to grow as a person. And that's really, really hard to find, because a lot of employers don't want to train their people,
Right.
because they're still old school. It's a generational problem. My kids, when they're going to get into the working world, right? I don't think they'll have that problem. I think everyone will have a decent engineering culture in 20 years, because everyone's would recycle, and now they know that you need to treat your people right and you need to give them time. And the reason why I say this is I'm writing a book about this, right? It's been a book that I'm writing for the last 4 years. I'm constantly just adding a little bit to it. It's the fact that software development in itself as a craft is barely 20 years old, right? We're 2023. Listen, in 2000, yes, you started having the dot-com boom. Okay, maybe 30 years old. Before then, it came out of academia, right? You didn't have CTOs. The CTO concept exists maybe 15 years, maybe 20 years tops, right? Before it became like this prevalent entity, this actual job and this actual role. It's evolved only in the last 10 years to be more business in the startup world, right? Like it's nothing. If you compare the software development industry, which is 30 years old, which basically runs our entire world right now, right? To construction of a home. Construction of a home is 100,000 years old,
Yeah.
200,000 years old. You know how to build a house without knowing how to build a house. You know what you need to, you need how it needs to be done, you need load bearing, you need this, you need that. Most people don't know how to build that for software. Most developers don't even know, right? One of my interview questions is, let's just do a design session. In 10 minutes, I want you to design me a system. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just like a contractor, right? If I tell you, let's design a house right now, Mateo, you'll be like, okay, foundation, walls, boom, boom, this, chip, installation. In 10 minutes, you tell me everything you need that needs to be put in, even though you may have never done it yourself, but you've seen it, you've learned it, you've been exposed to it. So it's that exposure to technology and to the software development craft that is still missing from the general population. They don't get that education. In high school, nobody teaches you software development principles. Even though you're going to go to university, you're going to be using software, you're going to go to work, and AI will take over your job, right? Or you'll use AI and you still don't know how it's built out. But everybody knows how a toilet flushes and how it works, the internal plumbing, right?
Do you think you touched upon the buzzword, right? AI, everyone is talking about it.
Yeah.
What do you think about Copilot and similar technologies? Do you use them? Do you allow your developers to use it?
I would never restrict my developers to use a tool. I'm not going to pay for it. They
Okay.
want to pay for it, knock this stuff out, right? I think it's very useful, right? It's very, very, very useful because the information on the internet is kind of garbage now. You have a lot of old information, right? When Stack Overflow first started out, it was a godsend. It was like, the light from the sky shining on a mountain. Oh, I can just Stack Overflow it. Now, half the information on Stack Overflow is old. It's no longer good, and they have a very toxic culture, right? They'll rip on you for just asking the wrong question, right? So a lot less people are using Stack Overflow than they used to before, or the quality has actually gone down. I think that's what I've noticed. I started using ChatGPT. I have ChatGPT on another screen, and I say, I need code for this and this and this. How do I do a PHP get request and then parse the HTML? Oh, there we go. Copy, paste, change it. Now I know. Now I remember, because I don't need to remember absolutely everything, right? So yes, by all means, I think those tools are fantastic. But if you don't know what code you're reading and you don't know what it's actually doing, it's going to come out. You're like, it'll come out in a code review. It's like, well, why would you do this? Oh, I copy pasted.
Yeah.
Right? That it doesn't work. So it's a good research tool.
The house analogy, but I don't know about the house, so I build 20 meters wall on one side, and all I needed was 2 meters, right? And then, but hey,
exactly.
It said 20 meters,
right?
It
looks like a house.
Yeah.
It looks like a house. There's a roof, but it's made of paper. There's no foundation, but it's okay. I hit it with my foot. It's good, right? So AI will not write code for you, not yet. Maybe in a few years from now, you can give it a full application and it'll write it. There's too much nuance because AI is incapable of art yet. Yeah, sure. I use ChatGPT to give me an idea of a blog post. Hey, can you write me the outline of this and this and this? Okay, good. Breaks it down. Good. Okay, let me write it down myself. Right? And that's it. And that's as far as it goes. It's incapable of that. And what people fail to realize is that software development is art. It's art and science in perfect equilibrium. Right? If you veer too much on the science part, nobody's going to understand your code, but it's damn efficient. Everything's on one line. It'll compile fast. It'll run fast, but nobody will be able to maintain it. If you go too much on the art part, it's beautiful, but it doesn't perform. You got to really gauge that. That's the tech leadership. They kind of make sure this is where we want to be. Let's maintain it. So, is AI useful? 100%. Will it be more useful? Yes, absolutely. And you know what? Maybe I'll try Copilot. I am paying for GitHub. I don't know why I'm not trying Copilot. So I'll try it. Let's see. Let's see where it goes. Maybe it will help me. I have two startups that I own and run, right? So apart from all the things that I do, so and I'm the active developer, so maybe it'll help me. I don't know.
Yep. Science and art and the right balance. I love that. I think that's a beautiful way of putting it. How do you said something about how do you spot the best developers? How do you see the spark? How do you ask them, hey, design a solution? It doesn't have to be perfect, but tell me about it. How do you go about those interviews, right? I know that you read you take the time to read what's behind the story. You don't get caught on it's this password here or not, but tell me more about that.
So I'll tell you my interview process outright. This is what I do, right? And I train I coach a lot of CTOs and new tech leaders on this approach, because a lot of them think we need to put a coding exam and we need to do this and we need to do. Let's tone it down a little bit. You're not Google. Let's chill. And even Google doesn't like doing this approach, right? So the way I do my interviews is the first 5 minutes I tell them, tell me about yourself as a developer, something that I didn't get from your resume. Don't tell me your resume. We're going to get to that. Tell me who you are. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you think? I'm a problem solver, I'm a this, I'm a that. Right away, if they can express themselves who they are, right there's the inkling of a spark. I'm like, okay, they know who they are. Some people look at me like this, huh? It's like a deer at the headlights. I'm like, okay, I know exactly where this is gonna go right from the get-go, but we're gonna continue. Then I go through their resume and I pick statements that they've made. I love doing that. Oh, you said you use RabbitMQ for messaging. Yeah, okay. How'd you do it? What'd you do? Because when candidates realize I know what I'm talking about, because I'm not a technical recruiter, I'm a fractional CTO. They're like, oh crap, okay. I can't just like pull a veil over Oshri's eye and just say some fancy keywords. He's not a recruiter who's like, ooh, Rabbit Agile keyboard? You use the keyboard? Excellent. That's a mark right there. Checklist. No. So I challenge them. And sometimes I'll take one statement, we'll talk about it for half an hour, and we'll go deeper and deeper. Why would you make that decision? How did you make it? And I'll be able to tell you right away if this developer knows what they're talking about or does not know, right? Now, the third part is I ask them one of two questions, okay? If it's a generalist full stack role, I ask them for what their favorite sport is. That's it. Soccer, this, that. I don't care. What's your favorite sport? I want to see passion. What's your favorite sport? That? Okay, excellent. Build me a web application. Let's design one that gives you live scores, right? Harvested from 50 different from 50 different APIs that all have different schemas, right? They'll design it, they'll start, and I'll see. Will they separate this into an ETL process server and so on? Will they do messaging? Will they keep everything as one server? How will they do it? And then I'll challenge and I'll throw curveballs. Now you have 100 million users. How do you scale? You better, boom, come, like snap. Tell me that. And I do that not to filter them out. I do that to evaluate the breadth of their knowledge. How deep does it go? And this is one of the biggest problems in our industry right now in terms of the talent pool. The talent pool, for the most part, is a mile wide and an inch deep in terms of knowledge. They know a lot, but a little bit of everything. Yeah, sure, I did Golang. What'd you do? I printed Hello World. You don't know Golang. Yeah. Did you ever put it into production? No. Yeah, you don't know Golang. I'm sorry. You haven't touched it yet. I'm sorry. That's not knowing it. Really give me some really deep examples. You use channels, you use GoFunks, like what'd you do? What'd you do with it? You use gRPC, what'd you do? Right? And do you know the difference between this and this and this and this and this and that? Right? There's no breadth. That is, you know what? Let's call that the fourth plague. It's knowing a lot, but a little bit of each. And you need to go not a mile deep and a mile wide, half a mile deep, just enough to really understand, right? Yeah, sorry, and I lost our train of thought because I went in on a tangent.
No, you
What
were
was the
saying,
question?
so for generalists, so you ask two situations. For the generalist, you ask them
Ah,
what's your
yes.
favorite sport and blah, blah, and then probably for a specialist, you have another question.
So if I'm hiring backend, senior backend, I only do seniors. I don't do juniors. I don't have anything to talk to a junior about, right? I only hire seniors and tech leads. That's my specialty because I'm trying to hire myself. That's what
Right.
I try to do. That's what I tell people, right? That's my selling proposition. Um, for seniors, I asked them the YouTube question. I call it the YouTube question. I got asked that question and I fell in love with it. I opened a YouTube video, right? And I don't play it, and I show them the view count, and I tell them, knowing that YouTube is a web scale company, planet scale company, right? They have data centers in every city, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they have one in every city or in every region, right? They probably do. How does YouTube compute that view count? Now, knowing this, that they must be getting an easy 15 billion with a B views a day, easy. We're 8 billion people on the planet. Everyone's watching about 2 or 3. And if not everyone, a major part is usually watching 10 or 20 videos, right? How do they compute the view count? I want to know how they're thinking. You know, as soon as somebody tells me, oh, I increment the database, I'm like, okay, thank you very much. Have a good day, sir. This is not how it's going to work, right? If I have someone who's putting in an ETL server and putting Hadoop in place and putting this and putting that, I'm like, okay, now we're talking. You have breadth of knowledge. They may have never done it. I've never put Hadoop in place, but I can design it this way, right? I've never worked on a planet scale application like YouTube, but I can build it. And it doesn't have to be a perfect answer because I'm asking you to do something that YouTube took probably years to figure out.
Right.
In 10 minutes. But I want to see how your brain works. That's the important part. And I can tell you easily, 99.99% of people get the question wrong, the answer wrong, completely, wildly wrong. And I tell them, that is so wrong, it's like to left field instead of right. But I'm still going to recommend you for the job because you showed me how you think.
Right.
That's the key. That's the key. That's why you can't do checklists. Oh, you know this, you know that. Putting exams, they don't really work, right? Take home exams don't really work.
Yeah.
None of these work because you're
Yeah.
hiring the brain, how the brain is structured.
I like it. I like it very much. Um, what makes up the perfect customer?
Oh, they don't ask for a discount.
Yeah.
They don't ask for a discount. It's such, and you know what? And at first, you start your business, you'll take it a little bit, you'll accept, but you've given a little bit of yourself away, right? You've disrespected yourself a little bit, right? Now, you start your career, don't start asking, for $600 an hour. Let's relax. You got to earn it 100%. You got to know where your value is. And the client, the customer has to know where your value is. As soon as you have shortchanged yourself, they will challenge even your hours. They will pay late. It happens every time. I had 36 clients in the last year and a half. Okay. The ones that I said, this is the price, and they said, okay, they pay within minutes of the invoice arriving. I can't believe it. Like I send it, I'm like, whoa, I got payment already. What's going on here? I got notified, right?
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable thing. I absolutely adore clients like this, right? They don't debate the hours. They trust you. They respect you, right? The ones that I've given a discount to, they pay a month late, 2 months late. They don't care. They challenge what you're saying. I'm like, but you called me. I didn't call you. I didn't came to you and said I can help you. You came to me and said I need you because you saw me on LinkedIn, which is my primary. 100% of my clients come to me. I don't go to them, right? And so that's what makes up the perfect client. They come in knowing that you have something to offer.
Right.
They have a problem. You are the solution. Let me do my job. Pay me on time. Don't mess around. I don't like that because as soon as I feel disrespected, I'm going to start, the work is going to start tempering. I'm not going to give you the time of day, right? That's it. I'm going to start bringing it down the hours and I'm going to give it to somebody else who has more respect. That's it. And it naturally happens, not because you want to do it this way. When you feel disrespected, you don't want to work with this person. If I wanted to be disrespected, I'd get a job. That's it. I'd get a job and be done with it. Where I have to say, please, sir, can I have a day off? Can I have some more? Like Oliver Twist, you know? More.
And it's all inbound, and it's mostly from LinkedIn. Is it also referrals, word of mouth from existing customers or old customers that are?
So yeah. So what I do is I unabashedly ask. I think I messed up that word. I shamelessly ask my client, give me 5 referrals, please.
Okay.
And you know what? People want to help in general. People actually want to help. That's the thing. And when I help someone just randomly, like I'll talk to candidates randomly, who not candidates, but people. I'm like, hey, Oshri, can you help me with some career advice? I'm like, sure, I got 15 minutes. Here's a Zoom link. Let's get on a call. Chat with them and I talk to them and I help them. And sometimes that turns to an hour and a half. I don't get paid for it. I'm not charging them for it because I like to be helpful. Then they say, what can I do for you? Give me 5 referrals.
Right.
You know what? They give me 10. That's the reality. And some give me nothing. But that's okay. It happens. It's a game. It's a numbers game, right?
It is. It is.
That's it.
Very nice.
But yes, on LinkedIn, I've laid myself bare. This is who I am. When somebody calls me, they don't call me for my pitch. They know what my pitch is. They read me, right? They're like, I'm right there. This is who I am. It's not garbage. It's not a content factory. It's not ChatGPT writing the content. Although I tried that once or twice, it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And so they know who I am, and they call me to hire me. It's like, hey, Oshri, hi, we've never met yet. We want to hire you. Okay, for what? Oh, this. Okay, good. Let's get started. That's my pitch. I don't have a deck. I barely have a website, right? I have OshriCohen.me. That's my website. Okay, great. It's how much business did I get from it? 1. That's it. In a year and a half. And the only reason why is because he couldn't find me on LinkedIn for some reason. So he found me online, right? Because he heard me on a podcast. That's it. So
nice.
really, it's the podcast that got me the business, not the website.
Yeah, very nice. Oshri, what do you do when you are not working? Do you have any hobbies? What do you do outside of work?
I'm a hydroponic gardener.
Okay.
So I grow food in the house, right? And I do that. I've been doing that for years. I grow kale. I grow all sorts of things. I don't know if you went for the price of kale these days, it's expensive, right? And I love it. I grow edamame. I grow a whole bunch of things that, you know what, we like to have, but not too much of. So we don't need to buy this much. A couple of leaves of kale makes a nice fresh salad. And because we grow it, we literally go downstairs, click, 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 cut a couple of branches, chop, 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 chop. Here's a salad because our kids won't eat it. So it's my wife and I. So we make a small salad with food that we have growing in the room next door to me. You know,
nice.
That's it.
Very nice. I love it. When is the book coming out? Do you have a date? Do you know? Is it a long-term project that I'm asking a question that is disturbing? Where are you on that?
The book is called The Art of the Code, right? And I'm trying to explain the full software development process to laymen using real world analogies, plumbing analogies, construction, decorating analogies. And I want to go deep enough that somebody understands what Git is and what source control is, right? But because everyone understands what an accounting ledger is, because that's exactly what Git is. It's an accounting ledger for your code. That's what it is, right? You create sub accounts, you merge the accounts, you have pulls, and you have credits and debits. You remove code and add code, but at the end of the day, everything kind of equalizes. It's a bad analogy, but to the layman, to the person who doesn't know, right? Even a wildly intelligent doctor and CEO and everything. Oh, I get it. I understand why we need a ledger. So I understand why my developers are using Git. I get it now. Totally makes sense, right? It's hard work. The reason why is I'm busier than I've ever been before. So I work on the book when I'm low on clients. So if, for example, this summer, I'm seeing a lot of clients are going to drop off, I'm not going to sign any new clients for the
Right.
whole summer. I'm going to take the whole summer off. I can do that because, it's my business. And I'm going to focus writing that book. That's what I'm going to do. So we'll see. We'll see.
Nice.
When? I'm hoping 2024. I have a book coach that I hired, right? I did 3 sessions with him. I have, 5 more sessions, and he helps me keep me in shape. But, when I'm back to back
It's not easy.
meetings like all day long, and I'm doing recruiting and this, and I have the kids, and I spend time with my kids. I never miss dinner, never miss breakfast, never like weekends is family time. There's no more creativity for writing, for sitting down in front of a computer,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So in the weekend, there's no computer, there's no screens. I don't know, no phone. Don't talk to me about a screen. So I fully disconnect, but that's what it is.
Nice. Well, I like the title. I like the content. I like what you're trying to do with your book. So if you want to use me as a reader just to get, feedback or whatever, I will be very, very happy to help in any way I can.
Thank you.
Oshri,
I appreciate that. A lot of people like that book, the concept. Yeah.
yeah, it's very nice. And I work in technology, but I'm an attorney by background. So the book that you're writing is precious to me, right? I learn every day. But if I had that book already, I would have read it. And I don't find today, if I try to find something, I've seen a lot of courses, but they all go like, okay, let's write something in React, or let's write something in Python. And I don't really want to learn how to write in Python. What I want to learn it's what you just said about the house, right? What are the elements of the house? That's what I want to see, the whole picture. I will then decide if I want to go deep into, okay, how do I put a window, right? Maybe, or maybe not, but nobody's talking about how to, like, the house and the art and the so I love the concept of your book.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's you know what? I started writing the book because I was frustrated because my in-laws still don't know. After 20 years, they still don't know what I do. He's like, Oshri, what do you? I'm a software architect. Okay. What? What do you mean architect of software? Okay. Like I'm a fractional CTO. Well, and these people are educated. One's a doctor, one's an actual architect. You'd think an architect would understand software architecture. What you do, I draw a plan and I build a building, but in code. Fly over there. Oh, okay, let's go have dinner. Okay.
Very good.
You know?
Oshri, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you being here. Hopefully sometime we'll do this another time. Hopefully I will get you an excuse to get to South America and Uruguay. But I follow you on LinkedIn. I love reading you, and now I have the pleasure of talking to you during this podcast episode.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for inviting me. If I can give parting words to developers, right? You want to level up your career, make a technical decision with your own money. It's really easy to spend somebody else's money. We need more servers. We need more this. We need more that. Yeah, go spend your own money. Go and triple the power of an SQL server because of a service that you have online, and now you have to spend $600 a month instead of optimizing your code. It's really easy to ask somebody else to spend their money. When you have to do it yourself, it hurts, and so you get to sense that, you get that feeling. And when you connect work to dollars earned, to dollars spent, it changes how you see the world completely. And that's missing in education in general. They don't know how to do that. It's really easy. We need this, we need this, we need this. Let's go. Okay, someone's paying for it. It's on my credit card. So that's my tip for everyone.
I love it. Very nice. Thank you, Oshri.